course, the ride to Zion National Park was just mind-bending. Like most of the rides so far in Utah, each of the parks, even though they're in the same general area in southeast Utah, they each have their unique characteristics. I know sometimes from my videos and pictures it doesn't maybe seem that way, but they really do. They're very unique, and they're close enough that you can do what they call the Grand Tour, which is a pretty good way to see all of these national parks. As you drive into Zion, you'll notice it really goes through these canyons. And when Zion was first made into first a national monument, then a national park, I think it was in the early 1900s, they didn't have many visitors. I think the first year there was only like 1,400 people or something like that. And what they quickly realized was they had to build roads and access to Zion to make it accessible, and also to link the nearby parks, so Grand Canyon, Bryce, and Zion. And this really made for a great loop, but it also increased the popularity. Zion also has a lot of activities, such as walking in the Narrows through a river in a canyon, which none of the other parks have. And then also, of course, Angel's Landing, which is a very, very popular hike that at one point it's so high and treacherous you have to hold on to cables and chains. It's gotten so popular, in fact, that there was a lottery now instituted this year, and you have to have a permit, and you get that through a lottery system. I did not get that. I don't even know if I did get it, if I was really able to do it, because it's a pretty strenuous hike. I've always wanted to do it my entire life once I found out about it. But anyway, so the road into Zion, I'm showing it to you here sped up. I think it's at two times the normal speed. I'm not driving this fast. There's a lot of hairpin turns, and there's a lot of wrecks in this section of the drive-in. We're coming in from the east side. In the east side, there's really, I think, only one main hike. And then once you get into the park, unlike some of the other parks, the scenic drive is closed down to vehicular traffic, and only shuttle buses are able to take the drive up. So that limits people from getting in there and doing it at your own pace, like I did in Grand Canyon, at least part of Grand Canyon and Bryce. So now I thought I had 2 nights in Zion, but unfortunately I only had 1 night. But it was enough. And I also coincidentally met Mary, who was a fellow traveler, I guess, that I had met down in Arizona in the Sleeping Dog Ranch. And I was texting her. She was in the park the night of the 17th, so was I. So we decided to get together later, as you'll see, and we did one of the hikes to the Narrows, and now it's pretty cool. Anyway, it's a long ride. Again, I tried to speed up the film. I was going to cut it out, but it's just such a beautiful ride. You could fast forward to later on if you need or want to. But as you come into the canyon, you have to go through a tunnel, and we'll get to that shortly. All right, we're coming up on the tunnel. Sometimes they have to stop the traffic because the tunnel was built in 1930. It wasn't originally built for RVs, but it is the largest non-urban tunnel in the United States. It was built in 1930, and sometimes they have to stop the traffic on both sides so that the wide RVs are able to get through it. The tunnel is, I think, 2.5 miles, and as you go through it, you'll see there's windows, or what they call galleries, and the galleries provide air and sunlight, but they were also used to actually excavate the materials that were exposed and used during the carving of the tunnel. That's how they got the inside carved out. I think over 200 tons of dynamite were used. At one point, a giant rock, like 20-ton rock, fell on the mess hall of the workers, and fortunately didn't hurt anyone, which was amazing. But it's a pretty cool ride. And again, without this, you wouldn't be able to access the canyon where most of Zion is located. Again, here's another gallery that you go through. And we're coming out finally on the other side. There's no lights inside, so you have to turn on your headlights. And then when you come out, you're greeted with just tremendous high canyons, walls, and beauty. They do put a lot of pull-outs and on the left and right sides for you to pull and over and take pictures. And as you can see, a lot of people are doing it. Kind of gets, when it's crowded, it's kind of hectic, but at least they did allow you to do that. And they're coming up on the, I guess the left-hand side, you see the Great Arch, and that's famous landmark of the park. However, it's not really an arch. As you can see, it doesn't really go all the way through, so it's really more of an alcove. But the process to make the arch started, and what would have to happen for it to become an arch, and if it did, it would be the largest arch in the world. It would have to, the rock that you see behind it would have to fall away, and it would have to be obviously hollowed out. But most likely they think if that would happen, the weight of the rock above it would make it collapse. So it is like I said, a big landmark. I pulled over at this point to film it. And this is different than any of the other parks. Even the Grand Canyon, you're above it. This, you're driving pretty much through it. But you're still high up. You're not all the way down at the ground level. And the other big difference with Zion is the Virgin River goes through the park. So there is a water element that is not present in the other parks. Here I stopped at the visitor center and just filming all around us. It's in the shade a lot because the walls are so high. And there you see the Virgin River. So Mary and I met up and decided to do this hike into the Narrows. We took the shuttle to the last stop, which is the Temple of, I'm not going to be able to pronounce it. I'll post the name on it. But you take this trail, and a lot of people have wetsuits and wetsuit shoes on, and staffs, wooden staffs, because they're going to do the whole Narrows Trail all the way to the end, and the water gets pretty high. Another reason I did not want to do it, and neither did Mary, was because there was an outbreak of an algae bloom that would get people sick. So, but it's still a really nice hike. And the light at this time of the day, playing off the mountains and the canyon walls, are just tremendous. We took the shuttle up, as I said, and unfortunately, I didn't have time to stop at all those different stops, but I tried to film it on the way up, so you'll see that. Got back from the hike. We went to the campsite, and my knees were pretty beat, but I did want to show you the surroundings of the site in the campground. This is the Watchmen Campground, which is probably the biggest, and it's absolutely beautiful. And these are the shots from the campsite. So you're surrounded by this in 360-degree beauty. As the sun set, the colors changed, and then when the sun finally did fully set, I had a fire and just sat under the stars. It was magnificent. So in the morning, I packed up. Couldn't get another night in the campground. It was too crowded. The whole campground was empty, but it seemed like everybody was out at the visitor center, on the shuttles. So I decided to hightail it out. And on the way out, I found a couple of canyons and overlooks to hike. And these are some This is some footage from that. I think you can look down into a slot canyon from up here. But I also wanted to kind of show how, you see how that it looks like hard mud, but it's not. It's petrified sand dunes.
About a mile from the park, I found the BLM area, and this is where I camped for the night. Hey, thanks for watching. Like and comment below, and please subscribe and click the bell so that you receive all notifications of future videos.